If you're prone to obsessing over WebMD, warning, today we're counting down the top 10 medical conditions that just about everyone has, including you. First up is onychophagia, otherwise known as chronic nail biting. Heads up, this seemingly innocent act can have some seriously gross consequences. As with most formed habits, if you're a chronic nail biter, it's likely you don't even notice how often you do it. For some, it's brought on by anxiety, stress, or even boredom. While it's incredibly common and doesn't seem like a big deal, bacteria from your nails can be transferred to your mouth and gut, making it a great way to give yourself an infection or even parasites. Speaking of your mouth, there's a good reason your dentist keeps telling you to floss. Up next is periodontal disease, also known as gum disease. Some studies show that around 80% of all adults suffer from some form of periodontal disease, with symptoms ranging from puffy, red, and sore gums to major infections that can interfere with the health of your teeth. In cases of chronic periodontitis, tooth loss can occur if the condition is not halted. So what can you do? Brush, floss, and seriously, just listen to your dentist. Ever notice your stomach gets a little wonky after that second slice of cheese pizza? You're not alone. Lactose intolerance is such a prevalent issue that in some communities, as many as 90% of people have issues with it. Those got milk campaigns may have lied to you. Scientifically, our bodies are only built to process lactose when we're young and not in extreme amounts once we're older. Even if symptoms aren't intense, your digestive system is probably still struggling after that ice cream cone. At least it was delicious, right? Get ready to feel itchy. Next up, DEMODEX mites, tiny mites that live in or around hair follicles and the meibomian glands of the eyelids. In fact, they're probably on you right now. By the time a person reaches 18, there's a 100% chance that they've had these mites. But don't freak out, these microscopic critters are mostly harmless and invisible to the naked eye. Break out the tissues because we feel a sneeze coming up. Next on our list, one of the most common ailments in the world, allergies. Airborne allergies affect around 40% of the population and can cause a multitude of uncomfortable symptoms like sneezing, watery eyes, itching, and in more severe cases, anaphylactic shock. Bad news for allergy sufferers, it's not your imagination. Each allergy season is getting worse due in part to climate change. Better keep those Kleenex on standby. There's a good chance at some point in your life you might find yourself lacking in the vitamin department. And one of the most common deficiencies? Vitamin D. Around 3/4 of adults and teens in the US have low levels of the sunshine vitamin. Some studies have shown that this vitamin deficiency has links to cancer, heart disease, and more, so it's a good idea to have your levels checked. While limiting sun exposure is good for preventing things like skin cancer, dehydration, and rapid aging, a little time in the sun helps the absorption of vitamin D. Continuing along with nutritional deficiencies, anemia is the condition when your iron consumption is too low. Anemia occurs when there isn't enough iron in the body, either due to lack of it in diet or blood issues like hemorrhaging, ulcers, menstrual problems, and others. Symptoms for anemia can include fatigue, skin pallor, shortness of breath, lightheadedness, dizziness, or a fast heartbeat. The good news is, like with vitamin D, checking for anemia is a fairly easy process that's just simple blood work. If you ever had chickenpox as a kid, this next condition could happen to you. That's right, we're talking about shingles. For those vaccinated as children, you're in the clear on this one. But for anyone who suffered with chickenpox at any point in life, then the shingles-causing virus is already living in you. The good news is that just because the virus exists doesn't mean it'll become full-blown shingles, a very uncomfortable and painful rash. The next problem is one that many of us are intimately familiar with, and one that brings back memories of puberty, high school, and embarrassment. Yep, acne. Acne vulgaris is a long-term skin condition characterized by areas of blackheads, whiteheads, pimples, greasy skin, and possible scarring. While we might not think of this as a medical condition and more of an annoying and socially distressing problem, it is something that most will deal with at some point. Studies show that between the ages of 12 and 24, around 85% of Americans experience this problem. For some, it begins to calm down during their 20s, but others will experience it on and off for years. Just remember, you're not alone. If you've ever shared a drink with a friend, there's a good chance you have our final condition, oral herpes. Don't let the word herpes scare you. Unlike its sexually transmitted cousin of the same name, oral herpes can be spread through kissing, drink sharing, or even being sneezed on. Around 80% of the worldwide population has oral herpes, also commonly referred to as cold sores. It's even possible that you carry the virus and never know it, as not all people present symptoms. Hopefully, we didn't scare you too much. And remember, always consult with a doctor if you have any medical questions.